What's going on, awesome people? It is Wednesday, May 31st, and it is time for Countdown episode number 22. As always, grateful to have you a part of the program. I hope that wherever you are around the world, that you're well, that you're healthy, that you're taking care of yourself, your mind, your body, your soul. We have a great program lined up for you. There's a couple of great updates to share with you. One of them is perhaps the most important one in my opinion, because the Uniters family has been waiting impatiently for several weeks now to premiere this one video. And this one video is the remake of Tumaj Salehi's Surah Mush song / music video. We put out a couple of teasers in the past, and finally, after a lot of editing, and I want to give a major shout out to, I can't say it by name actually, but let's just say the New Persian Times, who's put so much effort into editing this spectacular video. And tonight, after Countdown, we will be uploading this video, which the Uniters are so proud and excited to share, because first of all, it was a great unifying project for the Uniters and South Floridians. But also, we have high hopes that this video will be able to make some massive impact and bring a lot of awareness to not just Tumaj's case, but just in general what's happening in Iran. We're hoping that this video will be reached by beyond the Iranian community, hopefully non-Iranian rappers, hip-hop artists, artists in general, singers, musicians, anybody you could think of. So maybe it's just us that think it's great, but only you will be able to confirm whether or not it is great and whether you believe it's worthy of sharing. And if you do, then all I ask for is for you to please share it. So after Countdown, we will upload it. You can grab your popcorn and sit back and enjoy it. Hopefully that you will like it and share it and support it. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes. It is indeed my birthday tonight, and I wouldn't want to be spending it with anybody else besides the Uniters and all the people that continue to watch the Countdown episodes. Grateful to have made it one more year. And all I want for my birthday as a wish, aside from your health and the freedom of our people in Iran, is for you to please share the Too Much video later tonight. So that's my intro. I have a couple more big news to share with you all, but I feel like we should space it out. In case you're wondering what's happening to our backdrop, I'm actually traveling in DC, and so I didn't have my wonderful backdrop that our dear friend Shahla from Signs of Russ has donated. So if you're wondering what's going on with the background, it's because I'm not in my studio in Miami. So, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, it's a great program. Our special guest is going to be Johnny Nash. He's joining us from England, which is one of the reasons why we're starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. He's been kind enough to join us super late his time. He's joining us from across the pond, so he'll be joining us later. He's a British-Iranian author, entrepreneur, and host of the Successful Iranians podcast, and has been using his platform to amplify the voices of Iranians. And so when you see him coming on, make sure you follow him to really be aware of all the things that he's been doing on a consistent basis. And then we'll have also Dr. Sam Rasool, and we're going to have Mona Haghighi giving us a Uniters update. But as we always do, we start off the program with the latest news and updates, which is always a tough task, but Paris makes it. Only Paris Mansouri from up north, Montreal, Canada, representing. Hello, Paris. I won't say happy hump day, okay? Don't worry. I'm just going to say happy Wednesday.
It was amazing. It was amazing. It brought about some amazing conversations. So happy, whenever you're watching this, happy day, happy morning, evening, and happy birthday. So if you're watching this on May 31st, please take a moment to wish the host with the most the happiest of birthdays. Thank you for all that you do. I don't want to hijack the show. but I would. I'd love to be like, surprise, guess who's coming in? I
Oh,
don't
thank
have
you.
any of that plan, but wishing you all the best. Everybody in the comment section, please, whether you're watching this live or later, please wish this incredible person a happy birthday, an incredible year. So what did I wish you in my voicemail? I said,
Yeah.
good decisions, good restaurants, good food, good sales. Like I just really liked
It was
wish really
it was a
amazing
very
things
unique
on.
Paris-esque voice note, so I appreciated it. Definitely appreciating all the love. Feeling very special today.
As you should. And thank you to everyone who's watching. And there was, yeah, Intrigue Yellow watches every week.
Of
We
course
don't
I
know
do.
who Intrigue Yellow
Makto
is, do
Haghighi
we?
from the beautiful city of Chicago. She does incredible stuff to
Oh,
also preserve our culture and through fashion and art. Definitely give Intrigue Yellow
amazing.
a follow for more of that stuff.
A follow. So on to bad things and bad news. And I'm bearing bad news week after week.
I
There's
know
a lot of it
day
this week, so let's get to it.
257. We're long away from the early days of the revolution. So let's do a recap of how far we've come.
It feels like, you know, we're just talking about current protests or what's going on right now, but it's really important to remember how far we've come. And it's like, how much longer is it going to take? Well, when you look, I mean, I was looking over this list. I'm like, I got to share it just to put it into perspective for everyone else. This is a rundown for anyone who needs a reminder on how this all started and where we were. So day one, it was Gina Amini's arrest. Day two, it was Ali Karimi's tweet of support. And don't worry, I'm not going to go to day 257, but I'm just going to do a couple of rundowns. Day four was when Gina Amini passed away. Day six was when the Sanandaj rebellion started. Day 8 was when anonymous hackers joined in this revolution. Day 10 was when we started international outreach. Day 11, Hossein Ronari got arrested. Like, imagine, we're day 257, and on day 11, Hossein Ronari was arrested. Day 13 is when Hadis Najafi was killed. Then we have National Strike Day that started on day 14. Then we have the Shabahar incident where there was a terrorist attack that was on day 15. Day 16 is when Shervin Hajipur released the song Baroye. Then we have the international calls for protests. That was on day 19. Day 20 is when we had the Sharif University terror attack from the Islamic regime when they arrested innocent students. Then we had day 22 when Nika Shah Karami was murdered. We had day 23 when Jadi Mir Marini was arrested. Then day 25 is when Sarina Esmailzadeh was killed. Then on day 27 is where there were massive protests in our Kurdish provinces. So, I mean, those were just the under 30 days. That's everything that happened. And I hope that remembering those names like Hadis and names like Nika and names like Kian will remind you of why we're doing it. It's long way off from those early days, but this is the same revolution. It's the same fight, and it's not over.
Well, I appreciate that recap, and it's crazy that was just 1 month of it. You know, there was a request over here. What a timeline! Can you post this on your page? If you do have that, you can copy and paste and send it to
Yes.
me, and when we upload it onto YouTube, I'll make sure to add that in there. So, yeah. So okay, the trial for the 2 Iranian female journalists who helped break the story of Gina Amini's death has started. What do we know so far about that?
So they've been in custody since September. If I'm looking onto the side, it's because that's where my notes are. They're on trial before a revolutionary court. So keep in mind, they were arrested back in September. Their trial hasn't started. The individuals are Nilufar Hamedi. She was arrested on September 22nd. Elahe Mohammadi was arrested a week later. They've both been charged with collaborating with the quote-unquote hostile U.S. government and propaganda against the establishment. Prosecutors are refusing to provide families and their lawyers with information in the case. So keep in mind, these individuals are going to court, but the prosecution will not give them full details on what they're going to be accused of in the courtroom. And then they are expected to defend themselves against accusations and details that they have no preparation for, all within less. And please keep in mind, if you're not Iranian and not familiar with the system, the Islamic jurisprudence system doesn't give you like a 5-day trial where there's a back and forth at all. So these individuals are getting massive accusations against them that carry the death penalty, and they're not even able to prepare. What we do know is that back in October, the Islamic regime's Ministry of Intelligence and the IRGC's intelligence agency accused them of being trained by the CIA to create unrest in Iran. And keep in mind, all they did was talk about Jina Amini's murder.
Unfortunately, the death sentences, executions, they continue. We know that there are several individuals whose death sentences have been confirmed. Who are those, and what are the updates on those?
Yeah, so this segment is going to be a bit long, so please bear with me. I'm going to give you a brief update. Mohammad Bobadlou is the name that we've been following. He's an individual. And again, this is why we get very frustrated, because news out of Iran is never 100% clear. There are some sources who say that Mohammad Bobadlou was arrested during peaceful protests. Then we've got other reports that say Mohammad Bobadlou is accused of having run over Islamic regime officials and killed other individuals. So we don't know what the truth is. All we know is that he hasn't had a fair trial, that he has been accused of Moharebe, and he is facing the death sentence, and that has been upheld. So that's all we know. The good news is that there is a Canadian member of parliament who has decided to be his representative and is basically advocating for him. So that's something completely new, and that's, you know, very new, but all we know is that it's been months, and we're just unfortunately, unexpectedly waiting for the news. As we know, what usually happens is that these individuals are hanged right at morning prayers, which is another terrifying thing if you think about it. Individuals are in prisons, they hear morning prayers, and they know that somebody's about to be executed. So that's the reality of Mohammad Bobadlou. Now, the rest of it is there are 11 other individuals that we know of. I mean, there could be hundreds of other individuals who we don't know, but I'm going to go over their names, and hopefully you will be inclined to share some of these hashtags. So there's Mohammad Bobadlou, Ibrahim Naroui, Mansour Hout, Nezamuddin Hout, Kambiz Harut, he's 21 years old, Manucher Mehman Nawaz, Mansour Dah Marde, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing some of these names, Mujahid Kurkur Soheb Mirbaluch Haghighi, he's 18 years old, Mahan Sajat Madani, Mohammad Borokani, Reza Norouzi. Actually, Reza Norouzi was released at latest news, so hopefully his whatever he's facing will be overturned. And then we have Saif Sharmadou, Jamshid Sharmadou, the foreign national, who was arrested again and basically charged under false crimes that he never committed. So let's please keep those hashtags
Let's quickly
going.
touch on one of the 3 men killed by the regime a couple of weeks ago.
Yes. So these individuals, we did unfortunately share their news. Majid Kazemi, Saeed Yaqoubi, and Saleh Mir Hashemi, they were executed after sham trials. The update is that Mohammad Kazemi's cousin, his name is Majid, he's been extremely courageous in coming forward and talking about what's been happening to their family since the murder of his cousin Majid. And you would think that an execution would be enough torture that the Islamic regime would put forth on a family, but apparently it doesn't end there. His cousin says that since Majid was executed, the police have been terrorizing their family. And quote, the Iranian special forces stormed his mother's house and beat up all the family members. They arrested Majid's brothers and sister and smashed everything. They took all of Majid's photos, and Majid's brothers are still in prison. So this just goes to show that when we're talking, when you hear us mentioning the names of individuals who are executed or under threats of being executed, it's not just them, it's their families who are really living their life under terrorism every single day.
Western countries are having prisoner exchanges with the Islamic regime. So much for not negotiating with terrorists. Can you update us on who's on the list?
So this one is, there are multiple countries in one. Oman is the country that basically negotiated and orchestrated the most recent agreement between Belgium and the Islamic regime. So a Belgian aid worker was swapped for what the Islamic regime calls a diplomat. And I'm going to get into what this diplomat does. So we'll get into what diplomacy looks like for the Islamic regime. So first off, Olivier van der Castille, he was held hostage by the regime for 455 days. He was arrested on a visit to Iran in February 2022. He was charged with spying. He was sentenced to 40 years and 74 lashes. Now, Asadullah Assadi now gets to go back to Iran in exchange for this Olivier gentleman who's an aid worker. Now, Assadi, in case anybody is wondering, he was accused of plotting to bomb a rally in Paris in 2018. Now, side note, the rally was organized by the Mujahideen, who we know is a terrorist organization, but here we have one terrorist group trying to kill another terrorist group. So Assadi was technically a diplomat, but I don't know if Imanjun, if that's what you would call a diplomat, but basically his diplomatic immunity was waived and he was sentenced to 20 years in prison along with 3 other peoples. And now, by the way, it's not done. So this gentleman, Assadi, gets to go back to Iran, but the Islamic regime is not done. There are other terrorists who are Islamic Republic terrorists who are abroad, who are held in prison, but the Islamic regime is looking to get them back. And the next one on the list they want to free is Hamid Nouri. He's being held in Sweden. And are you familiar with Hamid Nouri?
I'm still disgusted by the Assadi guy that they had like flays around his neck. And I was like, you guys are celebrating a terrorist, but that's what terrorists do. Hamid Nouri, I need a refresher. No.
Yeah, so he's the former IRGC official. He was found guilty of war crimes in connection with the mass execution of Iranian political prisoners in 1988. So thousands of political prisoners were killed in Iran in 1988 under the Ibrahim Raisi regime, by the way. This gentleman was an IRGC at that point in time, Hamid Nouri. He's now 61 years old. He was arrested after flying to Sweden in 2019. He was tried under the principle of universal jurisdiction. And basically what he did, his role in the murders of all those political prisoners, make him a war criminal, Imanjun. That's why he's in jail in Sweden. And now the Islamic regime is looking to do a prisoner swap with Sweden to get him free.
Oh my goodness gracious. Just to keep on schedule, Paris, we're seeing more appeasement from Western countries, terrorist groups, this time in the form of a delegation from Belgium. What are the details about that? Belgium is really muddying the water here.
Doing a great job of being open to terrorists. So representatives from the Belgian government met with the head of Mujahideen, which is a cult and a known terrorist organization. So they met with Mariam Rajavi, who is the known head of a cult and terrorist organization. For anyone who's not aware, the Mujahideen MEK was listed as a terrorist organization up until 2012 in the US. By the way, Hillary Clinton removed that designation herself back in 2012, but it does not erase all the crimes that the Mujahideen committed. Now, if you are not familiar with them, if you just, Google Mariam Rajavi or MEK, you will see what they look like. And it's an Islamic cult where all the women are dressed in red hijabs. They're very strict. They have very regimented lives. They all answer to her. It's extremely terrifying. So it's very interesting that the Belgian government and a delegation of women would go to meet with this person as perhaps the head of a new government once the mullah regime is overthrown. And apparently what they discussed is the oppressive mullah regime, leadership of women, which is again extremely ironic considering that the MEK themselves
Ukraine's parliament has approved sanctions against the Islamic regime. What are the details? I'm going to have to go through this a little bit quickly here.
Yeah, we'll go fast. So the Islamic regime, sorry, you went through the Taliban or you just jumped to Ukraine?
The Taliban. Oh my God, they're continuing to instigate violence at the border. What's the latest on that? Sorry about that.
Yeah, so the Islamic regime says the Taliban is not honoring a water treaty from 1973. So they're arguing at the border. They're accusing each other of shooting first. There's 2 Islamic regime border guards who were killed. There's a Taliban fighter who were killed. There's a video that shows that it was the Taliban who actually incurred. And unfortunately, the senior commander of the Taliban, he has gone on the record with a video saying that they will fight Iranians with more passion than they did against U.S. forces. And he goes on to say, quote, "We will conquer Iran soon if Taliban leaders give the green light."
And now about the Ukraine parliament that has approved sanctions against the Islamic regime. What's the news about that one?
Yeah, so it still needs to be signed into law by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, but that's a formality because he submitted the bill himself. What's happened is that the parliament has moved to impose sanctions on the Islamic regime for the next 50 years. They include trade, financial, technology sanctions, as well as limiting Tehran's use of Ukrainian airspace. And this comes right after there was a Russia attack Kiev with a drone strike, and the Ukrainians are saying that the drones were provided by the Islamic regime.
What about updates about protesters and detainees?
So Reza Norouzi was released, Khushi Dazari was released, but unfortunately Abolfaz Amir Atai, he was a 16-year-old who participated in the protest. IRGC officials threw tear gas canister at his head. He's been paralyzed since then. That was 8 months ago, and he passed on Friday. And there are 3 more individuals. There are 3 Baluch children, essentially. Mohammad Darvish Naroui, he's 18. Benjamin Khan, he's 17. And Yasin Kabdani, he's 19. And they are all basically awaiting execution sentences under the Islamic regime.
16-year-old Abdul Fazar, that was heartbreaking. What are the action items this week, and what are the hashtags we're following?
I mean, several. Hopefully you followed, and hopefully there's a uniter that can paste them in the chat here. But mainly Mohammad Bobadlu, let's say his name to save his life. IRGC terrorist, save Sharma. Too much Salehi, of course. Make sure that you're following Let's Unite and Conquer on Instagram for the video for that. Enaz Mohammadi, Nilufar Hamadin, of course, Mahsa Amini.
Final message for our listeners.
Our language is called Persian. When we're speaking in English and not Farsi. وقتی فارسی حرف میزنیم زبانمون هست فارسی و همونطوری که نمیگیم من English حرف میزنم. When we're speaking in English, we don't say I speak Englishy. We say I speak English. The same thing. I speak English.
I always love this
Persian.
contribution to all right, Persian, thank you so much. Sorry to make you rush to the last 5-10 minutes. Just wanted to make sure we stay on schedule. As always, we appreciate you. Shab Khair. Thank you, Azam.
Happy birthday.
All right, we're going to jump right into, one second. Got to welcome the amazing Mona Haghighi, our uniter, that's going to be giving us some exciting uniters updates. And boy, do we have some updates. Please give a virtual welcome to Mona Haghighi. Durud bar shoma. Hi, Mona Jun. How are you? Doing well.
Hi,
thank you so
how
much.
are you?
Good to see you, as always.
Good to see you. Likewise.
Thank you so much.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I'm glad I get to spend it with my favorite people here on Countdown, both the contributors and also people watching. And thank you for everyone that keeps on saying happy birthday. Appreciate you guys. Love you. Monajun, there's a few things that we got to talk about. Should we talk about first about what happened last week with you guys?
Yeah. So last Friday, myself and a few other uniters, we put on our Iran shirts and we went to Critical Mass in downtown Miami, which is a bicycle ride. It was really, really fun. We just got together and represented Iran. We screamed Azadi, Azadi. We sang revolutionary songs. It was so much fun. And we represented
It was a good opportunity to kind of piggyback off an existing event. So it wasn't as much hard work, which you could recommend to other people around the world that would want to partake in something like this, right?
Exactly. So it's very difficult for us to organize these events on our own. So when we do something like this, where there's an event already happening and we're just hanging out and just representing with our Iran shirts, a group of us go there and represent Iran, it makes things so much easier. And people were paying attention to us and they were taking pictures and filming. And so we were spreading awareness and it felt really, really good.
Let's talk about a Too Much video, and then we'll end it with the Azadi Festival updates.
Okay, so honestly, it's the best thing we've ever done. I'm so proud. I love the video. I can't wait for it to come out. I mean, more than anything, what it represents. It's so meaningful. I get teary-eyed every time I see it. I can't stop watching. Too Much has been in solitary confinement for over 210 days, maybe 213 days now. and it's just unbelievable. He's not the only one in prison. We have so many political prisoners that need to be released, and we'll do anything we can to bring awareness to them and try to get them out. Whatever
and
we
by
can
the way,
do.
so if
I'm
you
very
are a
excited
uniter
about the
and
video.
you've seen the video already, share your feedback on it below. And then for those of you who have not seen it yet, we're going to be posting it as soon as we're done with the countdown. It's going to be posted on the Unite and Conquer Instagram page. We're going to upload it to the Unite and Conquer YouTube channel. And we kindly ask that if you watch it and if it moves you, if it inspires you, if it ignites the inner Iranian freedom fighter in you, then please share it. This is where we can all make incredible impact, by just sharing it with the rest of the world. So it's going to be happening in just a little bit. So as soon as the program is done, we're going to go ahead and share it. And shout out to all the uniters that participated in the video as well. All right, the next few minutes, let's talk about Azadi Festival. I'll give you some updates. It'll be easier for me to kind of share those updates. And in no particular order, today I had two pretty good calls. I can tell you all about one of them. There's a Persian restaurant chain called Moby Dick that in the DC, Maryland, and Virginia area, they have over 30 locations. They are known as the best fast casual Iranian restaurant that we have. And considering its 30 plus locations, needless to say, it just shows how big and great of a reputation that they have had in the past 35, 40 years in DC. And they have officially become one of the main sponsors of the Azadi Festival. And basically they're allowing us to have a major presence in each of their locations in all these three important locations, DC, Maryland, Virginia, which means what? Is that we're going to be able to bring maximum awareness to not just Iranians, Kim Moshada, they go once a month, myself included, by the way. Like I cannot be in DC and not have Moby Dick, So Moby Dick is truly embracing the Azadi Festival. And I have so much gratitude and respect for Ned Daryush, Rueshat, his father, Aghay Khosrow, who was the creator of Moby Dick 40 years ago, and Arash Momeni and his wife, Yassi Farazad, who as soon as they saw the details of Azadi Festival, they made it their mission to do whatever they can to help, get the word out. And that's huge because there's about 100,000 Iranians in the DMV area, and Moby Dick, more than 50, 60% of their clients are actually non-Iranian, which means that we're going to hopefully be able to bring non-Iranians. And so the Azadi Festival itself, happening on July 3rd at Ship Garden, will hopefully have a ton of people, Iranian family members. For those who don't know what Azadi Festival is, Monaja, can you kind of spend a minute or two explain what we're going to be doing at Unite and Conquer on that date?
Yeah, so it's going to be a family event where Iranians and non-Iranians are going to get together. There's going to be food and drinks, entertainment, but also, more importantly, there's going to be a lot of activists, a lot of uniters. We're going to be there and just keep spreading awareness and talk about what else we can do to help Iranians in Iran. And we are just very excited to get together and have a bigger event where
and it starts at 1:11 p.m. and it goes 12 hours until 1:11 a.m. It's 12 hours of essentially celebrating and embracing our culture. So you're going to see everything from Persian dance, traditional dances, to Persian poetry, to some Sunnati music, to a lot of different things. There's going to be an all Iranian bazaar, so we're going to have a ton of Iranian vendors, which, by the way, if you're in the DC area and you want to become a vendor, or you're outside DC and you want to come over there to not just showcase the work that you do, but also support the program by being present. There's only a limited number of spaces available, and we want to give it to the ultimate Iranians who want to be a part of this program, committed to preserving our culture, celebrating our culture, while, like Morajan, you mentioned, equally, if not more importantly, amplifying the voices of Iranians. And the other great call that I had today was with an extremely well-known, famous, highly respected artist, performer, singer, and it's 99% confirmed that we're going to have this individual as part of the program. I don't want to get ahead of myself and and promise everything, but it's going in the right direction because this individual has been a massive freedom fighter, singing revolutionary songs about what's happening. And so this artist wants to be there, and we're going to try to make it happen. And all we really need, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you watching, is that in some shape or form, figure out how you could support Haghighi Festival, whether it's purchasing tickets, whether it's contacting to become a vendor, whether it's becoming a sponsor. I keep on saying this event, this festival, it's by us, for us. And if it's by us, for us, that means that the destiny is controlled by us. The success and the impact of this program, it really relies on me and you and those around us who are fighting for a free Iran as well. So if you're all about this kind of stuff, or if you don't know what's going on, click on the link in my bio, find out more information about the Haghighi Festival, and just reach out to me or Mona or any of our uniters and say, I just want to help. We have a group chat right now that is growing every single day with more people who just raised their hand and they said, I want to help. I don't know what I can do, but I want to help. That's it. Just take that step forward. Reach out to us. We'd love to have you a part of the conversation so that we can make sure that this program is capturing the interest of not just a DC audience, but because it's being live streamed on the United Conquer channel, we're going to be trying to connect with as many Iranians from around the world. So that's the latest and greatest about the Haghighi Festival, Monaja.
Yeah, and what a great way, like Sadajun said, let's show people who we really are and show them our culture. Like, it's a great way to bring your non-Iranian friends and show them everything. I mean, we have such a beautiful country and beautiful, great food and beautiful music and poetry. Absolutely. What a great way to show them.
Wait. So Monday, July 3rd, it's 4th of July holiday weekend, so you can travel during this time. If you haven't made plans for the holidays, wherever you are in the world, consider coming to the nation's capital. It's going to be an incredible program, I can assure you that, and I'm super thankful for everyone that has been helping me and supporting us and being able to make this program happen. So that's it for now, Mona. I think we covered all the elements for now. Thank you very much. It was great having you a part of my birthday.
I
love you too.
I love you, and I'm so proud to be fighting next to you.
All right, and that was a Uniters update on behalf of Mona, even though I spoke a lot, I apologize. And up next, we have our favorite doctor, Dr. Sam Rasool is going to be talking about core strength, which I certainly lack. So he's going to be reminding me the things that he always does when I go see him to do my chiropractic services, or treatments rather. Dr. Sam, good afternoon, good evening, how are you?
Good evening, my man. Tavallud Mubarak. Happy birthday to you, my brother.
I appreciate you very much. How are you doing? Everything good?
Good, man. It's been good to get back in the swing of things. Had a great day with patients, and I'm happy to be here with you today.
I appreciate you staying a little bit extra beyond work hours to make a special segment tonight. Tonight we're going to be talking about something that you know very well that I tremendously lack, and that is core strength. So how important is it really? I think I know, but it's pretty important for you to share it for everybody.
Absolutely. The first thing I want to do, Iman John, is define what core is. You hear about people talking about strengthening your core. You got to work on your core. Oh, I have a weak core. I have to do this. The core is actually a group of muscles that helps stabilize your spine and your pelvis. And the most important thing, people look like, I need to gain a lot of strength from it. It's a stabilization. So it's like about bringing stability, and it's not just your abs. You could have a 14 pack and you could still have a weak core. So it's about the core muscles. They're deep muscles that help to stabilize your spine and your entire going all the way around the pelvis area.
So not that I do a lot of them, but doing sit-ups and crunches, is it the best way to strengthen my core or no?
Not really. It's a great way to gain, abdominal muscles, whether you're trying to get your oblique muscles or you're trying to get abdominals, obviously doing sit-ups and doing crunches, as many people do. But when you're thinking about your core, you're thinking about going very deep with it. So doing a lot of stabilization exercises. One of my favorites for a lot of my patients, I always say planks, doing planks where you're holding yourself either on your elbows or you're in a push-up position, but you're not doing a push-up. You're just holding that position. You could also lean on the side. Those exercises, again, The magical word here is stabilization. You're stabilizing, which helps the fire. Just like the rotator cuff muscles do for the shoulder, they stabilize the shoulder. Same thing they do with the core for the spine in your lower back.
Well, you already know that, I have a bad back, and thanks to you, I'm able to operate because you definitely improve it every time I come to you. But what if someone already has a bad back and is doing the exercises you mentioned, but it hurts the back and makes me nervous to kind of going to throw it out or something? Any concerns about it actually negatively impacting?
It can. That's a great question, Iman John. A lot of times people are worried. They're like, what if I do too much? Again, I always say, listen to your body. The first thing, if it's too much for you to get on the floor, some people have bad knees. I say you could do stabilization core work on a Bosi ball, those big brown balls in the gym, where you just sit on the ball and you're kind of going side to side like this, a little movement. You're basically tilting your pelvis a little bit. So you don't necessarily, if you have a bad back, you could start out small. And then you can also engage it in different ways. And that's why I'm definitely helped in trying to develop something for those people that maybe do have a bad back and they need to get over that hump.
Yeah, I definitely listen to my body, and it's always telling me to lay off Taco Bell. So continuing, how can our viewers get their very own SupMogo AI rehab belt, which I know my mom has been raving about it. It's worked for her. You just, I just got it from you a week ago before I left for trip, so I can't speak on it yet. I don't want to promote something myself that I haven't tried, but my mom seems to be raving about it. What is this, and how can you take care of our viewers here?
Well, basically, Iman John, that's what I was saying about when people have a bad back and they want to work on core stability, whether they're going to see a chiropractor or physical therapist to help their core strength. What I did was I teamed up with this company called SupMogo, and I'll show you them right here. This is the company. It's called SupMogo. I teamed up with a spine surgeon, myself, and a group of engineers to help develop this belt. It's actually an AI rehab belt. It's not a waist trainer, and it's not just something that you're just going to be wearing. It actually utilizes artificial intelligence technology with an app on your phone, and it engages your core, both the back muscles and the core from the front. And you can wear it. It's an easily adaptable app that you download. You're going to use it, and what it does, it gets on the same wavelength as your muscles, so it's engaging them. Here's the kicker, though. People always say to me, well, isn't it just like getting stimulation therapy at the doctor's office or something I buy off Amazon? Not really, because this actually, like I said, it's AI technology, and it actually helps to correspond to your body's natural wavelengths, so it engages your core while you're active. So in the mornings when you're making your morning coffee, you're making your bed, you have the belt on, or if you're going for a walk, you can have the belt on. You can even wear it while you're exercising. It's going to engage the core while you're doing normal things or while you're exercising. And it's something we've teamed up with the Miami Dolphins. We've teamed up with the Florida Panthers. Hopefully, the next team we're going to team up with is the Miami Heat to get all their athletes on board with this. The Dolphin players are raving about it. The Panthers have been saying it's helping their rehabilitation process to the next level. And what we've done is we're able to offer it to our viewers at a 30% discount. If you use my discount code, it's just Dr. Sam MIA. If you go to the website, it's called SupMogo, and I'll put it up for you again, supmogo.com. There's a video on there with yours truly talking about what the technology is. And like I said, if you use the code, and we'll tag it below for you, Iman John, Dr. Sam MIA, you'll save 30%.
Yeah, when you get off this conversation, please drop the chat and put the promo code typed out just in case anyone missed it. But that's a huge saving. So one of the perks of being a Countdown viewer is being able to get deals like this, and also getting educated from Dr. Sam, the stress doctor. Cool. Well, Sam, I appreciate you taking the time to remind me about how much I need to work on my core. You always remind me in person. Now you're reminding me virtually. But appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to enlighten us on this aspect.
No, absolutely, my John. Thank you so much for having us on. And like I said, what we do today is going to impact us tomorrow. So all of our viewers out there, remember, take care of your health today, invest today, or pay tomorrow. And I appreciate you, just like we're investing in the future and the freedom for our country of Iran. So that's right. Appreciate you, brother. Happy birthday.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, the countdown train continues. It is almost 6:40 Eastern Standard Time. In just a minute or two, we're going to have our special guest, Johnny, joining us. I see he's joining the chat right now. once he clicks the request to join, we're going to bring him on. But let me give you a little background about Johnny. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, he's an author and entrepreneur who Forbes has listed in the top 1% of global headhunters and coaches. He's also a British Iranian and the host of the Successful Iranians podcast. We actually have that similarity because I had created the Awesome People podcast back in the day. So when I stumbled upon his page, I was like, this is amazing. I felt like he's my English brother. Johnny, there's a plus sign at the bottom of the screen inside of the camera. You got to press that button to request to join. We've gotten to connect virtually all this time, but we hadn't had a chance to meet in real life yet, but hopefully that'll happen soon. And until then, I'm excited to get to know him a little better, along with all of you all. So hopefully Johnny is able to, there we go, he just clicked it. So, all right, please give a nice British welcome to Johnny Nash, joining us from England and staying up super late to join us this evening. Hey, Johnny.
I figured it out.
No problem. Just in the nick of time. How are you?
Good. How are you? Happy birthday.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm glad that you're the special guest on my birthday. It's great.
And you'll still do it, and you're fighting for the cause. So really great to see you. Indeed. But well, it shows that how many times I go live or do this kind of thing. Because I was thinking, how do I request?
It's because your podcast is on a different platform, so you're not accustomed to the IG lives. Okay, well, let's jump right into it, Johnny. You're obviously a successful Iranian yourself, but before we get to your work, let's get to know you a little better. I understand you, like many Iranians, had to flee from the dangers of war and the Islamic Republic. So why don't you share us a little bit more about your story?
Yeah. So we went at the time of the Iran-Iraq war. So it was just prior, at the time, it was prior to that, just at the time of the Shah when the revolution was happening. And my parents were quite young. So my mum was 17, my dad was 24. And I often talk about it with them. What made you what made you go to Iran at that time, knowing that this revolution was brewing? And I think they were young and what have you. So we got stuck for 4 years and in Kermanshah, which took a battering in that part of Iran. So for 4 years, we had Khomeini come in, the revolution, bombs kicking off, sounds of sirens. I still remember it. We used to go to Bach, which is a piece of land that my granddad had. But when you're young, you're playing with your soldiers, and you don't have that sense of mortality. And I remember that my mum ended up in the Sun newspaper saying British citizens stranded in Iran with the revolution, etc. And I saw a copy of it later on when I got much older. So for me, I was young. It was scary. A lot of things happened. I even had to have an operation because we were playing a game of hide and seek, and I was a bit spoiled back then. And I decided to put my fist through the window, through the door, because my cousins wouldn't open it up. And I had to have an operation during the wartime without an anesthetic, because I had cut some of my vein off. And I just passed out literally, and that was the only way I got through that operation. I still have the scar on my left hand every time I see it. So yeah, it was a crazy time in those 4 years.
So you mentioned your mom was British, and that's wild that the Sun actually had an article about it, and your father Iranian. So you grew up with these two identities. How did the Iranian side get nurtured as you were growing up?
So for me, I always remember, and I've said this before, I left Iran, but Iran never left me. So my family's pretty big in Iran. There's a lot of them. And, your uncles, your aunts used to make a fuss of you and the sense of family and everything else. And then when we left, I arrived in the UK, couldn't speak a word of English, suffered an eye defect. And it was a lack of warmth and that kind of passion and that sense of love and family. And it felt like almost Victorian, because my mum's parents, my granddad's Scottish, my grandma's English, and it's very kind of standoffish, and they don't show your feelings, etc. And arriving in the UK, and you were surrounded, no matter, because it was war or what have you, you did have that sense of extended family. And then all of a sudden, that big extended family just went down to 3 people, and then 4 when my younger sister arrived. So, but I never forgot it. It left such a imprint on my mind, because there were years when I was growing up that I took that with me in the UK, and my love for Iran just always grew from that. And I've always seen my dad as, like, you know, as a lot of sons do, you see as your hero and stuff like that, and the family. So I've always nurtured that throughout.
What do you think causes Iranians to be so deeply connected to their homeland?
I just think Iran's a magical place. That I know a lot of people say this about countries and stuff, and I think there is this magnetic hold in that in Iran, because I remember going back there when I was in my 20s, and I thought, you know, will I still like it now? I remember as a kid, but, you know, will I still like it now as a young guy? And I loved it even more. Didn't want to come back. And I think is that there is that sense of magic to the place when you arrive there, from the food to the just culture, the people, it's so hospitable, everything like that. And I think also there is that sense of tragedy and trauma that you want to make that impact and difference to almost get Iran to what it should be. And you feel that sense of responsibility and more of affinity, where it's in your heart and it stays in your heart. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I think the best word to use is really, it's a tragedy. You know, when you see something so amazing kind of fall on its knees, you know, like, it's a tragic thing, and you just want to lift it back up so it can rise back to its glory again. So very cool. For those who are not familiar with your podcast, would you mind kind of sharing a little bit about the podcast, what inspired you to start it, and like, who do you feature?
Yeah, well, feature you.
Thank you. I don't know if I was worthy of that, but I do appreciate being on here.
And you were great. So it's called Successful Iranians, and you know, everyone's version of success is different, and I deliberately have it in my mind where I just want to interview Iranians from all over the world doing incredible things, from being an activist to someone in the media, sport, music, entertainment, politics, science, whatever it is. My mission is to showcase the great and the good of Iranian society, and to break down those negative barriers, those labels, those stereotypes, because of this cult of death that Iranians have had to suffer 44 years, and the ignorance there is out there. You know, are you Arab, or I didn't realize you speak another language, and just to educate people and showcase how great Iranians really are. And I've always wanted to do it because I've always been someone in a party or in a club or in a bar, I've always said I'm half Iranian. Whereas there was upon a time in the UK, a lot of Iranians, they would kind of shy away from it somewhat, or not talk about it so with others. You know, some of them might even say, you know, say stuff like, oh, you know, do you think I look Italian, or other things. And I think for me, I've always had this sense of, I want to show everyone what a great nation this is. And it was from my younger days, from Andre Agassi in tennis, who's half Iranian, half American. So look, he's from, you know, he's great, isn't he? He's brilliant. Look at that. Amazing. And then I look at other highlights or other people, and then showcase it. And I think it's that kind of underdog, or kind of showcasing people, showing the world and other people, look how great Iranians really are, because of the stereotypes, because of this cult of death, because of what's gone on. So the podcast came to me just as a way of, what else can I do more that would be positive, something that the community can look to, be proud of, and doing that extra bit as well as all the
When
activism.
did you start it again?
Around, I think, February,
Oh, so,
March,
so
something
it was
like
it
that.
was during the revolution. It wasn't like before that, right? So it
No,
was so
no, it
so
was
so
about
I know
7 months into revolution.
so
Yeah.
you had several activists and stuff, and I'm kind of curious, what do you feel that our community can be doing better to amplify the voices coming out of Iran?
I think if we all have that sense of self-responsibility and accountability where we don't think of ourselves as small, because when you think of yourself as small, you play small. So I think if we can have the mindset where is that Rumi quote, alone we're a drop in the ocean, but together we become the ocean. And I think too many times people think, oh, I'm not going to make a difference. I'm a nobody. Who cares what I do? And then you times it by 10, you times it by 100, you times it by 1,000. And then guess what? There's all that kind of apathy. And then nothing changes if nothing changes. So I think if everyone can have the mindset where they feel like it's their duty, their moral obligation to do their bit, whatever that bit looks like, because I think that if you don't then deserve the right to complain and moan over a cup of chai or having a bit of gourmet sabzi or some chela kebab and mustard and saying, the Islamic Republic are shit and all that, and then do absolutely nothing. I think you've lost your right in that.
How would you say the revolution has impacted you, Johnny?
It's impacted me a lot. It took over a lot of my life. From September onwards. At first, I was waiting to see what's going on because I think the trauma of the past, of what happened in 2019, 2017, 2009, 99, and you think, all right, let's see what's going on here because there's a love. And when you've been hurt, you're a little bit cautious and you think, let me see the staying power. Is this the real deal? Is this the Big Bang moment? Or is it another eruption that's not going to go anywhere? And then at the time, I had to make a tough choice because I had my dad in Kermanshah throughout the revolution from September to November, and he's Kurdish Iranian, so you were conflicted in some ways where I can take the risk, but I was worried for him. But I felt like, well, if I don't do that, then I'm a hypocrite because I'm then expecting other people to stand up to say things, and yet I'm not practicing what I preach. So I did do that, yeah. And I've tried to do my bit every single day as much as I can.
Oh, that you certainly have. Anybody that's been following your content, you can see how active you've been. You seem like a very optimistic individual, so I'm not even going to ask you whether you think Iran will become free. Instead, I want to ask you, what will you do? Where will you be once Iran is free?
Yeah, I definitely would like to go to Shamal. I'd like to go to walk in one of the parks like Park Melad. I'd like to see my family. I like to just go to Azadi, the tower, and actually means freedom, not what these scumbags have done to it. So there's a lot of things I'd like to do. Just to breathe and smell the air and to think, wow, we did it. We defeated this evil, the most evil regime of all time, in my opinion, and defeated someone like Khamenei, who's the modern day Hitler. And we were all a little part of that to see a greater and a more prosperous and an open Iran, the great Iran, the real Iran, for all the world to see. But there are moments where I even have like your highs and lows, with this revolution where you think, it's hard going. It's not easy.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned just right now how it's one of the most evil regimes of all time, and I think it definitely ranks up there. And you also mentioned that the rest of us are underdogs. It's a true David and Goliath fight right now, and you've been at the forefront of this fight, and on behalf of many Iranians, very grateful for all that you've been doing. Where can everybody find out or follow the Successful Iranian podcast so that they can listen to more of these conversations you have with these great Iranians?
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you, Ismail Farsi, Khairi Mamoon, because I think you've been even greater, and you've got this real love for Iran, along with Paris. There's a real sincerity there, and that's really important, because sometimes you feel like people, it's difficult because some you feel like, oh, are they just jumping on the bandwagon or whatever it is and stuff like that. And if it has an indirect positive, I take that, because anything to get rid of these scumbags. But then there are people who are consistent and who are true and are sincere and have nothing but good intentions. And you're definitely one of them, and I admire you a lot. And I want to, bow my head to you, because you're a good guy, and you'd really bleed Iran, as like with Paris. And in terms of the podcast, Successful Iranians. If you actually Google it, it's on. If you put Successful Iranians, it's on Apple, it's on Spotify, out there for everyone to listen to. And I just want to create something by accident, but hopefully for such a great cause, just to really champion Iran, because I think that's where the issue is. I think in the English language, we need more people like you and others that can articulate this to a wider audience, to different kind of people, where we can influence the outcomes of things. It's all well and good in Farsi, but I think it can be more powerful if we're going to get to where we want to get to, influencing those other people, to get people on our side and to open the world and eyes and ears to Iran and the cause.
We're definitely aligned in that mission, my friend, and I'm rooting for you, and I appreciate the kind words. And I really do hope that we get to go back to Iran soon, and hopefully you'll show me Kermanshah. I definitely don't have anybody there myself, so it would be great to have an awesome tour guide from you and your family.
Yeah, we can do. Maybe we can do a podcast out there, the two of us.
That would
You can be a DJ now.
Yeah, we'll bring the whole entertainment squad.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Well,
Right.
It was a great pleasure. I could talk to you longer, but we have limitations here. But grateful for this conversation. Grateful for all that you do. Wish you well, and Ba'omid Azadi.
Thank you so much, my friend. Khudafez. Take care.
And thank you to our mutual friend Paris for connecting us a couple months ago. It was a great conversation that me and him had, and I'm glad that I was able to reciprocate, so all of you could get to know him as well. Johnny, you can click the top right button. There's an X button, and so you can exit stage right. There we go. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this was the end of episode 22. I hope you enjoyed getting to know Johnny Nash from England. Please do follow his podcast, Successful Iranians. We'd like to give a thank you to Paris for today's Uniters news and update, and also for producing the program. To Mona Haghighi, thank you so much for the Uniters update, and Dr. Sam for giving us some information about core strength. And what's going to happen right now? What's going to happen? We're going to be sharing the Too Much Salehi video. So first, we're going to upload this video right here, this tonight's episode, and then I'm going to go ahead and upload the video. And I have a question for all of you. There's 30 of you here. Do I have your promise that if you watch the video and that you are impacted by the video, that you will share it in your Instagram? If you're going to be sharing it, please let me know right now. I want to make sure that us Uniters, we have all of your support to share it far and wide. And then go and get the YouTube link and then post it on your Facebook and do whatever you have to do to get this word out. Hashtag free too much, hashtag free too much Salehi. I just can't wait to share it. So like I said, I'm going to post this first, and then we're going to go ahead and post the Too Much video. Man, I cannot wait to share it. It's my birthday. We're about to go to dinner, and my whole time, I'm sure the phone is going to get blown up, and so I'm going to be very distracted, but at least I'll be able to see some proud moments from all of you. I feel like you guys are going to love it, and without any further ado, I'm going to say good night. I appreciate every single one of the happy birthday messages. Love you guys very much. Join us again next Wednesday. Umid Azadi. Love you all. Bye-bye.